Hey guys, today we're going to talk about why Apple would be so dumb if they passed up the deal with Hyundai-Kia to develop their new electric autonomous car. So you could see the full article at thesoulite.com if you want to go check it out and read it. It's been a hot minute since we've had any sort of further announcements about whether Hyundai-Kia will be the manufacturer for the new Apple car. And that is because something really wrong happened in Apple's world. Apple really values secrecy when they are in negotiations before something comes to fruition. So if talks fall through on some sort of partnership or venture, it makes sense so that you want to keep it quiet so that it doesn't affect your public image and probably your stock prices, which it did for Hyundai-Kia when all this information started leaking out that they were so close to a deal to partner. In December of last year, you saw shares of Hyundai Motor and Kia Motor just shoot up through the roof, and then it shot up even more in January. Was it January? Yeah, I think it was like late January, early February, where they were so close to a deal, and then on the first week of February, and the stock started to go down or stall. I was like, oh no, there must be something wrong or some sort of hesitation with the deal. And then boom, on that Monday, the next Monday, it was announced officially that Hyundai and Kia and Apple would be separating or pausing. I think basically what you have to read through the tea leaves is that they'll probably continue to talk, but they're really saying that we're not talking so that they can reset the game board to the way Apple really likes to do negotiations, which basically, in secret, in private. So if it is the case that Apple is totally walking away, these are the reasons why it'd be so stupid.
Here's the countdown.
So why would it be great for Apple to choose Hyundai-Kia? Well, Hyundai-Kia definitely has the capacity to handle a deal of this magnitude and of this importance. And especially with global car sales going down, they have a glut of capacity. And from what we know from the talks, thank God somebody leaked actually though, but what we do know is that they were thinking of using their Kia plant in the United States, I think it was North Carolina or somewhere on the eastern coast, to handle the manufacturing of the new Apple car. But on the other hand, there's Hyundai Motor, who was also considering whether they should take the lead. So immediately you have a very complex internal discussion within Hyundai-Kia. In my estimation is that probably at Hyundai and Kia are the same company, but they're separated. And so there's probably politics in both. And I could see how like people in each company would be yes or no. On the whole, what Hyundai Motor as a parent organization was most worried about from what we've heard is that they don't want to be seen as a manufacturer for another company. Essentially, they don't want to be like a subcontractor. They were having a dispute over brands. They were kind of having a dispute over the concept of being just a hired car manufacturer for another brand. Once you're at this level of Hyundai in Korea, in terms of like a business conglomerate, you are using a lot of subcontractors who subcontract, and you're the head guy, you're the king of the hill. And Korean companies are a bit notorious for not treating their subcontractors fairly or well. There have been so many cases where they would just delay payments. You're asking them to provide all of the parts and goods and then paying them really late. Then there's also been a lot of cases of stealing intellectual property from the subcontractors.
One method was like, all right, we're gonna, have a bid, for which subcontractor to go to. So all of you guys, company A, B, C, D, pitch us, show us the product, show us some of the schematics, leave the product with us over the weekend, and then comes out the following week, they're like, oh, sorry, we're not going to go with you. We're going to go with a different company. Meanwhile, they basically took apart the product and had all their engineers go in and look at it and then, basically say, we're not going with you, and then take the technology.
Essentially, that's a very tough position to the ego, to the Korean conglomerate ego to be in, to be the subcontractor. In Korea, that basically means that you are the lower person. And I don't know, I do see how Korean executives at Hyundai would have a major problem with that, because that's not just a one-time decision. It turns into a long-term status that you're always going to be under Apple. And I don't think that their ego can handle it, because even in Korean contracts, it's always like stated who's the higher status, who's the lower status. So these kind of relationships, in the way that it's structured, the Korean company would always see themselves as inferior to Apple. Yeah, you're just a lackey for Apple, or you're just a lackey for the Americans. But all of that is intellectual, right? That's a human thing. That's a perception thing. And even though Korean people say that they don't change, how they view the world, they change. So like on a dime, suddenly what if in Korea, subcontracting, even among the major players, is not that big of a deal? I mean, Samsung already makes the chips for a lot of the Apple phones, so this is not unheard of. You're gonna be catching Hyundai at a really good point, I think, in the cycle of the company. If you look at a lot of the products that's coming, the cars that are coming out, some of the best quality cars that I've seen out of this brand, both Hyundai and Kia, are coming at a time when I think the car sales and the economy has been depressed around the world, and I think more people should be driving these cars. Last summer, I rented the new Avante, which is the Elantra in America, and it had every single like technological feature I've ever could even think of in an economy car. They have like the driver assist, so if you are driving the car and you're kind of like sliding out of the lane, the car gently nudges you back in place. I never thought that would even happen, in a car, let alone an economy model. And so that's already a step towards AI. Now, here's the thing about Korean companies. They've long been accused of being fast followers and not innovators. So the way I see it, and the way I've seen it work in real life, is that you could kind of consider like the Korean company like not the star pupil in the classroom, even though there's such like an intense thing about Korean education. They're like the people who like to copy the homework, and they copy it well, and then they maybe can take it to the next level. So you have like the star pupil in the classroom, maybe just doing like all the work and then figuring out all this stuff, and then they're tired. Then the Korean company comes along, copies the homework, and then because they're still, full of energy, they'll figure out how to sell that homework to maybe some of the other students and iterate on that, or take the research and then, add the next layer to it, and then boom, they have something, like Samsung Galaxy phone when they weren't even developing a smartphone. Thank God for Android. So, and they still haven't developed their own operating system over at Samsung. Maybe the culture is getting in the way of seeing itself as a subcontractor at Hyundai, but at the same time, the thing that won't get in the way that'll be a plus at a Korean company is that they like it if they have people doing the work. Like the engineering, they will take as much as they can from established best practices and poach engineers. And so they're very good at already applying other technologies to make a good product. Also, this is totally my opinion, and I hope I don't offend Kia people. But Hyundai-Kia is a little bit crowded right now in terms of like their brands and all of the different products. Because they merged Hyundai and Kia and they had to figure out what to do. Like how GM had so many brands under them and then they all started to kind of like die and like kind of become irrelevant. I think this is a great opportunity for Hyundai to kind of reorganize a little bit and I dare say even maybe eventually retire the Kia brand. So Hyundai is going really full force, almost like Toyota Lexus. Hyundai, elevating its staples and then developing that luxury line, Genesis. So, and even Genesis has like now all these product offerings like the G60, 70, 80, no, G70, 80, 90, and then the GV series, which is the SUVs. And then Hyundai already has a ton of offerings. The Kia team could probably shift over to being more of the Apple OEM, and then let's say the Apple Apple partnership eventually goes away. There's a lot that Hyundai Kia can pick up along the way. They might even write that into the contract where there's some sort of technology transference, and maybe that can be a really good way to even some of the status. On the other hand, like I said, Korean companies they really appreciate just being able to copy good quality homework, because at the same time, it's really tough for Korean executives to take the accountability and fall on a sword in an unknown area, because everything is on the line for them. So it's easier for you to be like, this worked for this company, this worked for there, or we poach this person from that company and they'll take the lead on going into the unknown areas where it could be failure or success. And so I don't think on a functional level, if they can just get over this mental hurdle, I don't think that in terms of the everyday working, I don't think that they'll have a problem at all. Because if Apple goes with some other company that values their engineering so much, like a BMW or like a Mercedes or even like a Toyota, or they're saying Nissan, they're going to find, I think, headbutting with engineering, because everybody wants to kind of put their stamp on the innovation. Whereas I think in Hyundai, they just be like, hey yo, if it works and if it's good and if you give me a little bit of credit for it, then let's go. I don't need to waste time and energy on that. We are here to manufacture and sell. And another point that I bring up in the article is perhaps there is a way to balance out some of the status with Apple. If Apple somehow makes a deal with Hyundai to leverage its huge dealer network, because a lot of car shopping is local, although Tesla is really challenging that. But a lot of times, don't you want to go for a test drive? And as much as Apple probably has the resources to create dealerships wherever they want, I don't think that's something that they'll probably do. It's just expensive. So if somehow Hyundai, Kia, their dealerships, their dealer network can also somehow offer the Apple Car and get a commission or whatnot, perhaps that could be a way for them to work out some sort of way to make it seem like the interaction between the two is not just Apple says make my car like this and Hyundai says yes master. If they can resolve that issue by adding sales to it and also have a say in the technology, then I think it could work out. I think it just makes sense. I think it would be great. And I've been and I only say this because I've been extremely impressed with the products already coming out by Hyundai Kia. And I think they could definitely do it. All right, so are you guys going to be excited about an Apple car? And what do you feel about this? Like, would you feel more comfortable with Hyundai-Kia making it or Nissan? So from the leaked information that we have, it seems like those are the two contenders right now in terms of a major car brand that Apple would partner with. If not, they would either have to develop it on their own or go with a little bit more of even more of a boutique player. So I think we can already see that Apple is making wise choices with Hyundai, Kia, or Nissan. These are not like, places where they're going to butt heads on the engineering and product design level. And I think that actually, if you're thinking about who has the best infrastructure for manufacturing and distribution and sales, I think Hyundai, Kia totally outgun Nissan any day. All right.
Tune in next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Love you.